So today we're definitely doing something a little different, something we've never really done on this YouTube channel or podcast before, but we're super excited about it. So we'll jump right in. But before I let Evan introduce our guest today and get into what we're talking about, we're the two hosts of the Aged Out podcast, Michael Fantini, and with me as always is
Evan Worrell.
And obviously, comment, like, subscribe. Share this with anyone you think would appreciate what we're about to talk about today. Facebook, Instagram, Patreon. You all know the drill, agedoutpodcast.com. Evan, I'll pass it over to you, and we can get into this.
Yeah, so we always talk about, like, there's just 2 degrees of separation in the drumming world, and we met this guy at WGI Finals. He had a booth set up, and we met him through a mutual friend of ours, Chris Gary, and we're able to just start to talk and collaborate and go back and forth. And he has this company that he started that we'll talk about. Obviously, that's kind of the purpose of this. But a guy by the name of Scott Uzarski. Welcome, Scott. Thanks for joining us, man.
Hey, guys. Great to be here. I really appreciate you having me on, and I think we're going to have a lot of fun today.
Yeah, heck yeah, man. It was just, standing there talking. We all have mutual friends through, like, cadets years that we'll talk about. We'll let you do a brief introduction into kind of like how you got into the activity, where you've marched. Take it away. Give us a second of your background.
Yeah, sure thing. So I kind of got introduced to the activity through the winter seasons. Did that for a number of years, and then ended up marching drum corps starting 2003 with the Colts. I did 2004 and 2005 was my age out. Did those with the cadets.
Heck yeah, man. Some great
05 cadets,
years.
not a bad year.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's end on a high note, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's every age out's dream. Like,
Yep.
win a championship, win a drum trophy, especially if you're a percussionist.
Yeah.
A unique trend-setting show at that time as well. So
sure.
The Zone, classic.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great to be a part of that.
But obviously, talking at WGI, you'd heard of the podcast, which we're super appreciative of, and you were kind of throwing out this drum pad company that you started. So kind of give us a little bit of a background on you, like kind of your schooling, how you started Brash Pads, and kind of its inception and evolution over the years to get us to where we are now.
Yeah, I guess when I was a kid, high school age, I was like tinkering around with drums, loved messing around with those, taking them apart, putting them together. And then in college, I ended up getting a degree in engineering, focused on product design. So it wasn't necessarily to go into this avenue to do drum pads, but just turned out that I kind of had the opportunity when there's another company out there I think everybody's aware of that kind of stopped delivering product. And I thought I'd kind of pick up where they left off with better customer service. So I took the better part of 2017 to develop the first product. Had to take some time off when my girlfriend had a job offer out of the country. So we were gone for a few years, came back, and then just a couple of years ago, we came back to North Carolina, started up the process again, and just started launching the booth at WGI 2 years ago.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's been a labor of love for a while for you, like almost 8 years, but I know you're telling us when you get the opportunity to go live in a tropical country.
Yeah, where was it again?
You kind of take it.
Yeah, we were down in St. Croix in the Virgin Islands, so I wasn't about to say no to that.
Yeah, definitely not. Don't blame me on that one.
But yeah, man, so you had hinted at standing there at the hotel at headquarters WGI Finals, like, I'd love to do something, and obviously Mike and I are also just always on board with, promoting the activity and products of the activity and things that we can. But, we're like, hey, is there any chance that, like, you'll send us a pad? And you're like, oh, absolutely. So Scott was gracious.
As a matter of fact, I'd brought a pad for you guys. I had the head already made up and everything.
Yeah. He planned ahead. It was all part of the strategy.
So he was gracious enough to mail us a couple pads. I got one version, which we'll talk about, and Mike got a couple other versions as far as options that you have within it. But first things first, like, when I got this thing, I was shocked at, like, how durable but light it was. Because, I have a couple other pads. I won't say the brand names, but I have a few other pads that I've played on for years. And, you try to lug these things around in your backpack, and sometimes they're quite heavy. But I couldn't believe how light and ergonomical it was, but also, like, I've been beating the crap out of this thing and letting everybody, my students and all my other friends, play on it. So, kudos to that. Easy to tuck away in a backpack. Mine model that you sent me is what's it called again?
The Alpha, I believe, is what you have.
The Alpha. So yeah, we'll do. Mike and I are each going to do some demos of these that we'll put on the back end of the video. So stick around. I'll do some demos of my pad, Mike with his pad. Mine has the snare bed that's like magnetic in the bottom, which all the materials seem super quality.
It's all high quality for
I
sure.
like how it just like pops in there. The snare bed on the bottom. It's easy to take in and out, whether you want it in there for that snare sound or not. The magnet just like sucks it right in, and then me personally, when I was playing with it, what I really loved about it was the articulation that you got out of it, the feel and the sound. Obviously, if you're playing drums, like feel and sound is what you want. You want your drums to sound good, and you want your drum to feel good when you're playing on it. I have had some other brands where you can put additives on them to make them louder, make them maybe more snare like, but sometimes they end up just feeling kind of like you're playing on concrete.
A table?
Yeah, on a tabletop.
The tabletop, yeah.
Dude, this alpha pad though, Mike came down. I had two other friends that were at my house at the same time, and I was like, hey, what do you guys think about this pad? And everybody's just like playing on, like, dude, where did this come from? So I think that was one reason why we decided to pursue this with you, is that we just freaking love the product.
Yeah. We were sold very, very quickly.
Anytime I'm with my job or like that I do professionally, like I'd be like, hey, I would sell this to my family. Like, I would do this for my family. Like, I would feel comfortable giving this product out to anybody because of how good it feels and how good it sounds. So, kudos to you, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I did take a lot of time with the research and development phase of that to make sure I got the right playing surface. I can't tell you the hundreds of materials I had to go through and order stuff out of catalogs and go to local suppliers to find something that would feel as true to the snare feel as what you're getting in the final product. Definitely focused on quality of all the materials. Yeah, it was about a year of development just to get that first product out there to get that true snare feel.
Well, that's the biggest thing to me. Like Evan mentioned this first point. The two biggest selling points to me that really stood out immediately was, and Evan mentioned this too, just to echo it, the weight was shocking. Like, you could put this thing in a backpack, either one. The Mojo pad, which is like the lower tier, just kind of stock run-of-the-mill pad. Then the Alpha pad is like the more expensive one you can customize that has a rim and everything. You could throw this thing in a backpack and not even notice it. And like, when you're on tour, you have a million things in your backpack, or when you're in high school band, even in band camp, or just taking it on a vacation or a trip with you. Most pads feel like bricks. Like, I have a heavy laptop in my backpack on top of my laptop that I actually brought. And it's like the weight was massive, yet it still felt durable, high quality material. Like, it was just awesome. And then to me, the feel of playing on it is so different from so many different pads because, like you just said, it's not only do you get great articulation because of whatever the laminate material is you have built onto it, but you actually get a different feel in all three, like the halfway playing zone, the edge playing zone, and the center. On both pads, it feels different where you are in the zone on the pad, which is awesome. And it has just enough for me, like, give to it to where it's not the tabletop feel. It's not like fluffy or super like playing on a quad head.
It's not like the gum rubber.
It's not like the gum rubber real feels. It has some firmness to it, but there's just enough give when you play on the surface that is very reminiscent. Obviously, it can't be exactly what a marching snare Kevlar head feels like. Just physics and just all that stuff, just not going to happen.
Right.
But it's the closest thing that I've played on with something that weighs like 3 or 4 pounds sitting on my lap somehow to that feel. And it was mind blowing. Like I said, we were sold immediately, and I was like, Evan and I said a long time ago, if the podcast ever got to a point where we could start to work with a product or brand or anything, like, we're not just going to do it because someone's willing to work with us. Like, it's going to be something that we actually are like, this is freaking awesome. So that's my 2 cents, basically. I mean, it's just...
Yeah, and on my end, I'm really appreciative that you guys enjoy the product. I mean, I wouldn't want to have a partnership here between us and have you guys just talking to talk about the product. You know what I mean? I'm glad that it's something that you actually enjoy and you want to endorse.
Heck yeah, dude. Like I said, like, I love it. I would feel confident that anybody, like what you sent me, is going to get just as great a product. I mean, I think people can see them in the background there. You have a lot of the kind of alpha pads lined up
Yeah, I got my
behind
display
you.
back here. Yeah.
Your Cadets logo, the Wolverine, the Deadpool. So yeah, you can kind of see those with the rim in them. Like Mike said, with the Mojo pad, it's a little bit of a less rim, which you'll see in the demo. Just the difference in the visual. Also, like, I know you mentioned too that you've had some people that like have had these for years and taken them on tour. People that are taking them all summer and pass them around the bus, like, dude, check out this pad. And the durability is great. And I think what you mentioned earlier too, like the customer service and like how you have talked about I think on your website too, you have the kind of if somebody wants to buy the durations for if it's a custom versus like if it's just a stock order pad, what those are. Do you want to throw those out? Because I don't remember them off the top of my head.
Yeah, no problem. So I can typically, just depending on my graphic supplier, I can typically get a custom pad out to you in about 3 weeks. However, I do have a lot of just stock images that I keep in my shop. So if you want to order one of those stock images, I can typically get that shipped out to you same day, and you'll get it within 3 to 4 days. Mojos are all stock, so those come to you in less than a week. Yeah, my big thing was just making sure people got their product, they got it quickly, and obviously with the customization, it takes a little longer, but it's coming, it's on the way.
Yeah, I think that's huge. I mean, we've all been in the chats and the Facebook groups and heard the nightmare stories of just like ordered my pad 8 months ago and
Right.
I can't even get an email or something. So yeah, we
Yeah.
all obviously love that. And being able to meet you and interact in person and just being able to pick up the phone and talk with you has been huge for us, in text back and forth. Another thing too, you also have a product for the tender pads that comes apart. Mike was talking about, it's easy for me to put this pad in my backpack. You developed the tender pads that you sent Mike as well, that you can put it together and play on it. So talk a little bit about that and how that came to be, or just like, hey, I don't want to freaking lug a tender pad around.
Yeah. So that was kind of my labor of love the last couple of years. I'd always wanted to develop a tender pad. I just didn't want to do the same thing everybody else had done. Take a big sheet of MDF, cut it down, make it look somewhat like a set of quads, and then throw some gum rubber on it. So I had this idea right away that I wanted something transportable. Didn't necessarily want to throw it on hinges so it could collapse. I've kind of seen some of those variations before, and I don't think it's the most user-friendly thing. So I guess I set out with the idea of doing this 5 or 6 pad system, depending on how I want to set up the shot drums. And 21 revs later, I've got them all saved in my computer. It took me the better part of 2 years to come up with a design that finally worked. Getting suppliers lined up, a lot of customization in that, and a lot of thought went into that design to make it so sleek.
We did. I won't say him by name or what group he works for, just because I don't know if like he has like. I honestly don't know if he has like endorsements. He does teach with a drum corps, so I don't know if he like has separate endorsements or whatever. But we did let him check out the tender pad, and he's like, yeah, like this is like just as good as any other, like like all these other tender pad companies that have been out there. Like this is on par with that. Like yeah, he's like it's the same thing we're talking about snare drum. You're never gonna completely mimic the size and
What the
shape
drum
of quads.
feels like.
What it feels like. He's like, I would put this up with any other tender pad that I've played on out there. So, I won't give his name, but because I don't want to put him on the record.
And having had it in my hand, and like I have very little experience with tender pads, if any. I've never owned one. Probably drummed on one jokingly a couple times that like at drum corps camp somebody's had with them, but I was able to figure out how to put it together basically by just looking at it, because it does break down into like 4 individual pieces that stack, or maybe 5, whatever it is, some number of pieces that just stack, can put in some kind of bag to transport it, and I was able to just pull it out and be like, oh, this slots in here, tighten this hex key bolt, locks it into place, and then it's assembled within like a minute, and then you're just off to the races. And if you want, even for storage purposes, like quad pads are good. This thing, when you're done using it, take 30 seconds, break it down, and then sit it in your closet till the next time you need to use it. And then it doesn't sit there as this massive eyesore in your room or in the way on top of a table or whatever. So it was just cool from an engineering standpoint.
Or you're not driving down the road with it like in the passenger seat, like fully assembled.
Takes up the whole back seat. It's your 4th passenger. Yeah.
Right, right. There are some big quad pads out there.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
And I didn't get to play on the quad pad. Is it the same surface and like set up
So
as the.
It's as the Mojo,
It's going to be
right?
the same construction as the Mojo.
Yep.
Yeah. Same material stack as the Mojo.
Yeah, I was sitting there playing on each of the drum setups plus the Mojo next to it, and I was like, yeah, this is the same surface, basically. This is the same kind of feel, and so.
But yeah, man. For anyone else, like, that's looking for a pad out there, or just like looking for something like blah 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 blah. Like, I think that there's so many options for pads, but having something that's like, tailored for you in like a small company like what you're doing, and like you're being able to promise delivery. I play on this pad now. I don't play on my other ones. I have 3 other pads, and I don't play on them anymore.
Yeah.
So I feel a little.
That's the story I get from. I get a lot of feedback at WGI when I have my booth set up, and I get a lot of "this is the only pad I play on anymore" kind of talk.
Well, as we were setting up to record this, I straight up told you, I was like, honestly, for some comparisons, when I first got the Mojo, was like playing on them back and forth set next to each other just to compare the feels of everything, because I own a handful of pads too from over the years, and since that first day when I tried them out compared to the other pads I haven't touched anything else. Like, this is just what I grabbed because it feels the best. It's light. It's just a great product.
I mean, when we were sitting in my kitchen
this was hilarious
that night that Mike and my 2 other friends were over at my house, we were just hanging out over the course of a weekend before one of them moves. But we had all 3 of them just laid out, and we're just like going down, like playing on, and we're all just like, yeah, all right.
That's the winner.
This is the winner. Like, and I didn't really say anything to them about like, hey, we're looking at linking up with this dude and doing like a partnership with him. I was just like, what do you think about this? And they're all like, dude, where'd this come from? And I was like, well.
And both of like the Pepsi challenge back in the day, right? Just the blind taste test.
Oh, yeah.
The Pepsi Cup. Yeah. And like, they both march drum corps.
Yeah, I was going to say,
so,
they both have experience in drum corps at a high level and been in the game for a long time. So they played on many pads, many drums. So we trust their opinions as well too.
But so if anybody, we haven't really said this, which we'll link it obviously, but Brash pads. So BRASH. How did you come up with the name? What's the name? Like, is there a meaning behind it?
Is it Brash pads or Brash Drums?
It's like, Brash Drums.
That's what I thought. Drums. I was like, Evan started.
Brash Drums.
The name is actually kind of an interesting story. It started with a different name. It started with Artifact Drums. And I had a whole reason for doing that, even though it sounds like kind of a weird name, being Artifact. Anyway, when I moved to St. Croix and I came back, there had been a different Brash percussion company, or not Brash, Artifact percussion company that had started up and copyrighted the name.
Okay.
And I didn't know about it. So I started back up with Artifact Drums, and they hit me with a cease and desist right away. So that was a lot of fun.
Good start.
So then I had to pick a name real quick, and I was going through thesaurus pages for days on end trying to find something, and finally it dawned on me. I wanted to find something that kind of fit the attitude of drummers and something that was kind of like socially acceptable. So that's where I kind of settled on Brash. I think we could all come up with a lot of adjectives to describe drummers, but I thought Brash kind of flowed. The URL was available, so it all kind of just fell into place.
There you go.
It makes sense. That's funny. Artifacts. Stop. Like, how would you know until you get into that, though?
Yeah.
Like,
right. Yep.
That's awesome. So yeah, brashdrums.com. It has all the pad options. If somebody's wanting to customize their own pad, I'm assuming they just upload images and that comes to you.
Yeah, so that was another cool thing I did. I have a friend who does a lot of web design, and he was able to set up a graphic engine that allows you to upload your own image and see it directly on the pad with any color options you want to customize before you order. So I think that's a pretty cool feature. Yeah, so you can do that for the Alpha. Like I said, the Mojos come stock. The Wingman, I have 3 different options, so you can kind of choose from those right now. But yeah, that's kind of where it was sitting.
Do you plan to? I know you had your booth set up at WGI. Are you planning any other exhibitions or exhibits? I guess not exhibitions, but exhibits or showing up at any other shows? Or I know DCI Finals is kind of a whole other animal, but
yeah, DCI is another animal. I did BOA one year. That was a good experience. I'm considering going back there, but I just had a baby a few weeks ago, so that might be a little difficult to pull off. Oh yeah, thank you. Yeah, I might return to BOA next year, and then the DCI thing is potential in the future. But I just find that WGI, I mean, you hit everybody that cares about the activity in one shot, so that's kind of like a really nice place to be.
And everybody
Heck yeah.
there is all drummers. So like
Yeah.
drum corps, you have a ton of brass people, guard people running through. Like WGI is like all percussion, so that makes sense.
Yeah,
It does
BOA
make
was
sense.
tough trying to sell drum pads to girls in color guard that stopped by to see what was going on.
Yeah. But
Uh,
at least in some of those avenues at BOA, you do have like mom and dad there with the checkbook. So like,
Also
all right.
Yeah,
true.
a lot of Christmas presents came out of that one.
There you go.
Hey, heck yeah. They probably
Yeah.
got them for Christmas too. Got them on time.
Yes, they did.
Well, Scott, we're looking forward to this partnership moving forward. Obviously, we love the product. We want to give you the opportunity if there's anything else too that you want to get out there as far as like information for people before we kind of tie this thing up in a bow. And then we look forward to plugging these as the season goes on to just keep everybody in tune with how to get your product in their hands, man, because it's a good one.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say, if anything, I just love talking to customers, getting feedback from their experience. I'm wide open if you want to email me directly, scott@brashdrums.com. Feel free and ask me anything you want to about the product. Give you every piece of information I can. And if you see my WGI or any other exhibition, feel free to come up and start a conversation.
Cool.
Heck yeah. I didn't miss anything, did I, Mike? I think I
I
nailed
don't.
my.
I think we got through it all. Nice little 21-minute quick
Yeah.
video. I think we don't want to overstay our welcome here. So if nobody else has anything, thanks for hanging out, everybody. Definitely check out brashdrums.com. Scott, obviously, looking forward to working with you and continuing the partnership here in the future. And comment, like, subscribe, share, all that stuff. We'll see everybody in the next one.
Peace.